The lawyer's office smelled like old paper and expensive cologne. I sat there in my black funeral dress, the same one I'd worn just yesterday when we laid my mama to rest. My hands were shaking, not from grief this time, but from pure rage. Gerald sat across from me, leaning back in his chair like he owned the place. That smirk on his face, Lord, I wanted to slap it right off. His lawyer, some slick-looking man in a gray suit, slid papers across the shiny wooden table. "Mrs. Bernice Caldwell," the lawyer said. "These are divorce papers. My client is requesting an immediate dissolution of your marriage." I looked at Gerald. My husband of 32 years. The man I'd cooked for, cleaned for, stood by when he lost 3 jobs in a row. The man I'd loved with everything in me. The day after my mama's funeral, my voice cracked. "You couldn't even wait a week?" Gerald shrugged, that smirk getting wider. "Bernice, let's be real. Your mama's gone now. She left you that money, and I know it's a lot. I'm entitled to half. We can do this the easy way or the hard way." "Money?" I whispered. "You think this is about money?" "Oh, come on." He leaned forward, eyes gleaming with greed. "Your mama had millions. Everyone knows it. She built that whole business from nothing, and now it's yours. Well, half of it is mine. That's how marriage works, baby." The lawyer cleared his throat. "Mr. Caldwell is requesting a 50-50 split of all marital assets, including any inheritance received during the marriage. We can settle this quickly if you cooperate." I felt my chest tighten. All those years, all those sacrifices, and he was sitting here, the day after we buried my mama, trying to take money he thought I had coming. "Sign the papers, Bernie," Gerald said, using that nickname I used to love. Now it made my skin crawl. "I already got a condo picked out in Miami. Golfing weather year-round. You can keep the house. I don't want that old thing anyway." Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Let me tell you how I got here. I met Gerald in 1992 at a church barbecue. I was 43, had never been married, was taking care of my mama who was building her business. Gerald was charming, had a smooth voice, and he made me laugh, made me feel young again. Mama didn't like him from the start. "Bernice," she'd told me, sitting in her office at the company headquarters, "that man got empty eyes. He looking at you like you're a meal ticket." "Mama, please," I'd said. "Not every man is after something." She'd given me this look, this sad, knowing look that I should have paid attention to. But I was lonely. My whole life had been about work and taking care of her. I wanted someone to take care of me for once. We got married 6 months later. Small wedding at Sweet Hope Baptist Church, where I'd been going since I was a girl. Mama came, but she didn't smile in a single picture. The first few years were good. Gerald had a job selling insurance. He'd come home, we'd have dinner, watch TV together. Normal married stuff. But then little things started changing. He quit his job, said the boss was disrespecting him. I supported him. Told him to take his time finding something better. He never did. Then it was another job, and another. Always somebody else's fault. Always some drama about why he couldn't stay. Meanwhile, Mama's company, Vivian's Visions, a marketing and consulting firm she'd started in 1975, kept growing. She'd built it from nothing, working out of our basement when I was a teenager. Now it was worth millions, with offices in 3 cities. Gerald started asking questions. How much was Mama worth? Who was going to inherit the company? What was her retirement plan? "Why you so interested in my mama's business?" I'd asked him one night. "Just curious, baby. You're her only child. I figure that makes us both blessed, right?" That should have been my first real warning. Mama got sick 2 years ago. Cancer. She fought it hard, kept working even when the treatments made her weak. I took time off from my job at the post office to help her. Gerald complained about that. "We need your income, Bernie. he'd say. "Your mama got nurses. She don't need you there all the time." But I stayed with her anyway, held her hand through the chemo, drove her to appointments, read to her when she was too tired to focus. During those months, Gerald started acting different. He'd dress up nice for no reason, come home late smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. When I confronted him, he'd say I was being paranoid, that grief was making me imagine things. "You need to focus on what's important," he'd told me. "Your mama ain't gonna be here forever. Make sure you and her get all that business stuff sorted out." My stomach turned every time he said something like that. Like he was waiting for her to die. Last month, Mama called me to her hospital room. She looked so small in that bed, nothing like the strong woman who'd raised me by herself and built an empire. "Bernie, baby," she said, her voice weak. "I need to tell you something about the company." "Mama, don't tire yourself out. Hush and listen." She squeezed my hand. "Gerald ain't who you think he is. I had somebody look into him. He married you for this, for what he thought you'd get when I'm gone." Tears rolled down my face. "Mama, please." "I changed my will," she whispered. "You'll understand when you hear it, but baby, you gotta be strong. That man is gonna show you exactly who he is, and you gotta be ready." She died 3 days later, peaceful, in her sleep, with me holding her hand. The funeral was at Sweet Hope Baptist. The whole church was packed. Mama had touched so many lives. People came from all over, employees from her company, clients, friends, neighbors. Pastor Jenkins gave a beautiful sermon about Mama's legacy of hard work and faith. Gerald stood next to me, looking bored. He kept checking his watch. During the repast at the church hall, I saw him on his phone, texting somebody and smiling. That night, I cried myself to sleep. Gerald didn't even try to comfort me. He was in the living room, on his laptop, looking at something that made him grin. The next morning, he told me we had a meeting with his lawyer. "A meeting? Gerald, I just buried my mama yesterday." "It's important," he'd said. "Trust me, you'll want to be there." And that's how I ended up here, in this office, watching my husband try to divorce me so he could take half of what he thought was coming to me. "Bernie, you gonna sign or not?" Gerald asked now, tapping his fingers on the table. "We both know your mama left you everything. Probably somewhere between 5 and 10 million, right? I'm being generous, only asking for half. Some lawyers would say I deserve more for putting up with you all these years." Something in me snapped. "Putting up with me?" "Yeah." He leaned back, comfortable now. "You think it was easy? You always putting your mama first, never having time for me. Always at that church, always working. I stuck around, didn't I? That's worth something." The door opened before I could respond. A woman walked in, tall, elegant, wearing a sharp black suit. She looked about 60, with gray locks pulled back in a neat bun. She carried a leather briefcase and had an air of authority that made everyone sit up straighter. "Good morning," she said. "I'm Rochelle Freeman, attorney for the estate of Vivian Clark. I'm here for the reading of the will." Gerald's eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. "Perfect timing. Let's get this done." Ms. Freeman looked at him like he was a roach on her shoe. "I'm sorry. Who are you?" "Gerald Caldwell, Bernice's husband." "Ah." She set her briefcase down. "Well, Mr. Caldwell, I'll need to ask you to step outside. The will reading is for family only." Gerald's face fell. "What? But I'm her husband. Legally, anything she inherits is half mine. Step outside." Ms. Freeman's voice could have cut glass. "Now." Gerald looked at his lawyer, who shrugged. "She's right. Will readings are typically private. We can wait outside." "But, Gerald." I spoke up for the first time in minutes. "Go." He stood up slowly, that smirk finally gone. "Fine, but this ain't over. You can't cut me out, Bernie. I got rights." When the door closed behind them, Ms. Freeman smiled at me. "Mrs. Caldwell, your mother was a wise woman. Before we begin, she left you a letter. She wanted you to read it before I go through the will." She handed me an envelope. My hands trembled as I opened it and saw Mama's handwriting, shaky from the illness but still hers. "My dearest Bernice," I read aloud, my voice breaking. "If you're reading this, I'm gone, and I suspect that husband of yours has already shown his true colors. Baby, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from him, but I can protect you from what he's about to try to do." I looked up at Ms. Freeman, tears streaming down my face. What did she mean? Ms. Freeman opened her briefcase and pulled out a thick document. "Mrs. Caldwell, your mother didn't leave you money. She left you something much more valuable. She left you the entire company. Every share, every asset, every property. Vivian's Visions is now wholly owned by you. The company is currently valued at $47 million. The room spun. 47 million? Yes. And here's the interesting part. Ms. Freeman's eyes gleamed. Because the company was never marital property. It existed before your marriage and was never commingled with marital assets. Your husband has absolutely no legal claim to it. Not one penny." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. $47 million. Not cash, a company. The company Mama had built with her own 2 hands. "There's more," Ms. Freeman continued. "Your mother also left detailed instructions about certain discoveries she made regarding your husband. She hired a private investigator 6 months ago. Would you like to see the report?" She slid a folder across to me. I opened it with shaking hands. Photos. Dozens of them. Gerald with a woman. A young woman, maybe 35, 40. They were at restaurants, hotels, her apartment. In some pictures, they were kissing. In others, they were looking at papers together. Looked like real estate documents. There were bank statements, too. Gerald had opened a secret account. He'd been taking money from our joint checking, small amounts I'd never noticed, but they added up. $30,000 over 2 years. And there were text messages, printed out, dated, time-stamped. "Can't wait till the old lady finally kicks it. Bernie gonna get millions and I'm entitled to half. Then we can get that beach house, babe. Just gotta act sad for a few more weeks. Playing the grieving husband is exhausting, LOL. But it'll be worth it. I already talked to a lawyer. She can't stop me from getting what's mine. Once I get my money, we can finally be together for real. Gonna divorce Bernie so fast her head will spin." My hands were shaking so hard I dropped the papers. Ms. Freeman's expression softened. "Mrs. Caldwell, your mother wanted you to have all the facts. She also wanted you to know that you don't have to face him alone. She set up a legal fund specifically for your divorce proceedings. And she made sure that the company was legally protected, transferred into an irrevocable trust with you as the sole beneficiary before her death. He can't touch it." I felt like I was drowning and being saved at the same time. "Gerald doesn't know," I whispered. "He thinks it's just cash. He thinks he can take half." Ms. Freeman smiled, a cold, satisfied smile. "Yes, and I believe he's waiting right outside that door expecting to hear good news. What would you like to do?" I looked at the divorce papers still sitting on the table, at the photos of my husband with another woman, at the text messages where he celebrated my mama's upcoming death. Something shifted inside me. The grief was still there, Mama was still gone, and that pain was real. But underneath it, something else was rising, something strong. Something that reminded me exactly whose daughter I was. Vivian Clark didn't raise no fool, she raised a fighter. "Call him back in," I said, my voice steady now. "I want to see his face." Ms. Freeman stood up and opened the door. "Mr. Caldwell, you can come back in now. There's something your wife needs to tell you." Gerald strutted back in, that smirk back in place. His lawyer followed, looking confused about why he'd been called back. "So?" Gerald said, sitting down. "How much we talking, Bernie? 5 million? 10? Come on, give me the good news." I looked at him, really looked at him. How had I ever loved this man? How had I spent 32 years with someone so empty inside? "Gerald," I said slowly, "there is no money." His face fell. "What?" "Mama didn't leave me cash. She left me her company, all of it. Vivian's Visions is mine now." I watched the confusion cross his face, then the calculation, then the greed. "Okay, even better. A company's worth more than cash. We can sell it, split the—" "No," Ms. Freeman cut him off. "Mr. Caldwell, the company was placed in an irrevocable trust before Mrs. Clark's death. It's not marital property. You have no legal claim to any part of it." The color drained from Gerald's face. "What? But that's not— She can't do that. We're married." "The company existed before your marriage and was never commingled with marital assets," Ms. Freeman said calmly. "It's completely separate from your marriage. Your divorce papers request a split of marital assets. The company is not a marital asset." Gerald turned to me, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked scared. "Bernie, baby, wait. Let's think about this. We don't need to divorce. We can work this out. I found the pictures, Gerald." He froze. "What pictures?" I slid the folder across the table. "These pictures. Of you and— what's her name? The woman you've been seeing for 2 years while my mama was dying?" His lawyer leaned over to look at the photos, then sat back, his face going pale. "Mr. Caldwell, did you know about these?" Gerald's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "Bernie, I can explain. I also saw the bank statements," I continued, my voice getting stronger. "The $30,000 you stole from our joint account. The text messages about waiting for my mama to die so you could get your hands on her money." "You went through my phone?" His fear was turning to anger now. "You had no right." "Actually," Ms. Freeman interrupted, "Mrs. Clark hired a private investigator. Everything in that folder was obtained legally, and Mrs. Caldwell, as I mentioned earlier, your mother set aside funds specifically for your divorce proceedings. I've already retained the services of one of the best family law attorneys in the state. She'll be contacting you tomorrow morning." Gerald stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "This is bullshit! I gave up years of my life for you, Bernice. I deserve something." I stood up too, surprised by how calm I felt. "You know what you deserve, Gerald. Exactly what you're gonna get. Nothing." "We'll see about that," he snarled. "I'll fight this. I'll take you to court. You'll lose," Ms. Freeman said simply. "Mr. Caldwell, I've been practicing law for 35 years. I know a losing case when I see one. You committed adultery. Documented. You stole marital funds. Documented. You have no claim to non-marital property. The best advice I can give you right now is to sign whatever divorce agreement Mrs. Caldwell's attorney presents to you and walk away while you still have some dignity left." Gerald looked at his lawyer, who was gathering his papers and looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. "Can they do this? Can they just cut me out?" The lawyer sighed. "Mr. Caldwell, if what they're saying is true, and it appears to be, then yes. We can fight, but it'll cost you everything you do have in legal fees, and you'll still lose." Gerald's face went through about 10 different emotions. Then he looked at me with pure hatred. "You think you're so smart, don't you? You and your dead mama playing games. You'll regret this, Bernice. Nobody makes a fool out of me." "I didn't make a fool out of you, Gerald," I said quietly. "You did that all by yourself." He grabbed his divorce papers off the table and stormed out, his lawyer scrambling behind him. The door slammed, and suddenly the office was quiet. Too quiet. My ears were ringing. My heart was pounding. I sat down heavily, my legs finally giving out. "Mrs. Caldwell?" Ms. Freeman's voice seemed far away. "Are you all right?" Was I all right? My mama was dead. My marriage was over. My whole life had just been turned upside down, but I also owned a $47 million company. I was free from a man who'd been using me, and I had evidence of everything he'd done. I don't know, I said honestly. Ask me again tomorrow. Ms. Freeman smiled and handed me a business card. Call me when you're ready. We have a lot to discuss about the company. There's a board meeting scheduled for next week. They'll want to meet their new CEO. CEO of my mama's company, the company I'd watched her build my whole life. Ms. Freeman, I asked, did she know? About Gerald, I mean. How bad it really was. She knew everything, Ms. Freeman said gently. She spent the last months of her life making sure you'd be protected, making sure he couldn't hurt you. She loved you very much, Mrs. Caldwell. Tears rolled down my face again. I wish she was here. She is, Ms. Freeman said. She's in every clause of this will, every protective measure, every detail she planned. This is her last gift to you, not just the company, but your freedom, your power, your future. I nodded, wiping my eyes. What happens now? Now? Must have. Freeman started packing up her briefcase. Now, you go home, rest, grieve. Tomorrow, we start building the next chapter of your life. But tonight, you should know that your mother was a brilliant strategist. She didn't just leave you a company, Mrs. Caldwell. She left you a weapon. I drove home in a daze. Our house, the one Gerald said he didn't want, looked different somehow, smaller, less significant. I walked in to find him throwing clothes into a suitcase. He looked up when he heard me, his face red with rage. I'm staying at a hotel, he spat. My lawyer says I need to document that you forced me out of the marital home. I didn't force you to do anything, Gerald. You filed for divorce, remember? He zipped up his suitcase violently. This ain't over, Bernie. You think you won? You just wait. I'll make your life a living hell. You already did that for 32 years, I said tiredly. I just didn't notice until my mama pointed it out. He picked up his suitcase and stopped at the door. You're gonna be sorry. Nobody crosses Gerald Caldwell and gets away with it. Gerald? I called as he opened the door. That woman in the pictures? The one you were planning to buy a beach house with? You should probably tell her that beach house ain't happening. Unless she's got money, because you sure don't have any coming. His jaw clenched so hard I heard his teeth grind. Then he walked out, slamming the door behind him so hard a picture fell off the wall. I stood in my quiet house alone for the first time in 32 years. The silence should have been scary. It should have been lonely. Instead, it felt like freedom. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Caldwell, this is Kenya Williams from the law firm of Williams & Associates. Ms. Freeman referred me to handle your divorce proceedings. I'd like to meet with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. if possible. I promise you, we're going to make sure you're protected. Also, there's something else you need to know about your husband's activities. It's sensitive, so we should discuss in person. Please confirm if tomorrow works for you. Something else? What else could there possibly be? I texted back confirming the meeting, then walked to my bedroom. Gerald's side of the closet was half empty. Good riddance. I changed out of my funeral dress, finally, and put on comfortable clothes. In the bathroom, I washed my face and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked older than I remembered, tired. But there was something else there, too. Something in my eyes that reminded me of Mama, strength, determination. That Clark family fire that nobody could put out. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something made me answer it. Hello? Bernie? This is Pastor Jenkins from Sweet Hope Baptist. Pastor, hi. I'm sorry I haven't called. Things have been... I know, baby. The whole church is praying for you. But that's not why I'm calling. He paused. "Bernie, I need to talk to you about Gerald. It's important. Can you come by the church tomorrow after your lawyer meeting?" My stomach dropped. "What about Gerald?" "Not over the phone," he said quietly. "But, Bernie, your mama told me some things before she passed. Things she wanted me to tell you when Gerald showed his true colors. Come by tomorrow. You need to know everything." After we hung up, I sat on my bed, my mind racing. What else was there? What else had Mama discovered? What else had Gerald done? I should have been scared. I should have been falling apart. Instead, I felt something else entirely. Something that started in my chest and spread through my whole body like fire. I felt powerful. Gerald had thought he was so smart. Thought he'd timed everything perfectly. Thought he'd married a stupid woman who'd be easy to manipulate and control. But he'd made one fatal mistake. He'd underestimated Vivian Clark. And he'd underestimated her daughter. Tomorrow I'd find out what else he'd done. Tomorrow I'd start learning how to run a multi-million-dollar company. Tomorrow I'd begin the process of getting rid of him for good. But tonight? Tonight I was going to sleep in my own bed, in my own house, for the first time in years without a liar next to me. And tomorrow, Gerald Caldwell was going to learn what it meant to mess with a Clark woman. Because Mama didn't raise me to be anybody's victim. She raised me to be a CEO. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Gerald's face when Ms. Freeman told him he wasn't getting anything. That shock, that rage. It should have made me feel good, but mostly I just felt tired. 32 years with a man who never loved me. 32 years wasted. At 5 a.m., I gave up trying to sleep and made coffee. Sat at my kitchen table, my table now, not ours, and watched the sun come up. The house felt different, bigger, like it could finally breathe without Gerald in it. My phone buzzed with a text from my neighbor, Wanda. She lived 3 houses down, had been my friend for 20 years. "Girl, I saw Gerald leaving with suitcases last night. You okay? Call me when you can." I smiled. Wanda had never liked Gerald either, said he had snake energy. I should have listened to her too. At 9:30, I got dressed for my meeting with the lawyer. Put on a navy blue dress Mama had bought me last year. "You need to look like somebody who means business," she'd said. At the time, I thought she was just being Mama. Now I understood she was preparing me. Kenya Williams' office was downtown, in one of those tall glass buildings that made you feel important just walking in. The receptionist smiled at me like she knew exactly who I was. "Mrs. Caldwell, Ms. Williams is expecting you. Go right in." Kenya Williams was younger than I expected, maybe 45 or with beautiful dark skin and locks styled in an elegant updo. She stood up when I walked in, and her handshake was firm, confident. "Mrs. Caldwell, thank you for coming. Please sit down. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water?" "Water would be good, thank you." She poured me a glass from a pitcher on her desk, then sat down and folded her hands. "First, let me say how sorry I am for your loss. Your mother was an incredible woman. I actually met her once at a business conference 5 years ago. She gave a speech about building generational wealth that changed my life." Tears pricked my eyes. "That sounds like Mama." "She was very wise, and very thorough in protecting you." Kenya pulled out a file, thick, organized, professional. "Ms. Freeman filled me in on the basics. Your husband filed for divorce the day after the funeral, expecting to claim half of what he thought was a cash inheritance. Instead, you inherited a $47 million company that he has no legal claim to." "That's right?" "Good. That makes my job easier." She opened the file. "Now, Mrs. Caldwell, I need to show you something. Your mother's investigation into your husband uncovered more than just an affair. Are you ready for this?" My stomach twisted. I don't know, but show me anyway. Kenya slid several documents across her desk. Your husband, Gerald Caldwell, has been planning this for a very long time. We found evidence that he researched your mother's company before he even met you. I felt cold all over. What? There are internet searches from 1991, a year before you met him, about Vivian's visions. Company value, ownership structure, succession planning. He knew exactly who your mother was and what she was worth before he ever stepped foot in that church barbecue. The room spun. He targeted me? Yes. Kenya's voice was gentle but firm. Mrs. Caldwell, your husband is what we call a financial predator. He specifically seeks out women with wealthy parents or inheritances. You're not his first. What do you mean I'm not his first? Kenya pulled out another document. Gerald Caldwell was married before. Twice, actually. First marriage was in 1985 to a woman named Phyllis Henderson. Her father owned a chain of auto shops in Texas. They divorced in 1989 right after her father died. She got the business. He got a settlement of $200,000. I couldn't breathe. Second marriage was in 1990 to Denise Lawson. Her mother owned several rental properties in Florida. They divorced in 1991, 6 months after her mother passed away. He walked away with $150,000 and a condo. He never told me he was married before, I whispered. We know. He used a slightly different name both times. Gerald D. Caldwell instead of Gerald T. Caldwell. Different enough to avoid easy detection. Your mother's investigator was very thorough. I thought I might throw up. So he married me just to wait for my mama to die? Yes, and Mrs. Caldwell, there's more. Kenya hesitated. The woman he's been having the affair with? Her name is Shanice Porter. She's 38 years old and she's his partner. His partner? In crime. Shanice has a record: fraud, identity theft, forgery. They've been working together for at least 3 years. While you were taking care of your mother, they were setting up bank accounts, filing false documents, even attempting to get power of attorney over you. The room felt like it was tilting. Power of attorney? Kenya showed me more papers. They tried to have you declared mentally incompetent due to grief. The paperwork was filed 6 months ago, right after your mother's diagnosis got worse. Fortunately, it was rejected because you'd need to be evaluated by multiple doctors, which they couldn't fake. But they tried. I stood up, had to move, had to do something with the rage building inside me. Why are you telling me this? Why do I need to know all this? Because, Mrs. Caldwell, they're not done. Kenya stood too. Gerald didn't just file for divorce. He filed 3 other things that same day. A claim against your mother's estate for caregiving services rendered, trying to say he took care of her and should be compensated. A lien against your house, claiming he made improvements that increased its value, and a lawsuit against you personally for emotional distress and defamation of character. Defamation? I haven't said anything about him to anyone. He's claiming that your mother's investigation into him was actually your idea, and that you spread false rumors about him to damage his reputation. It's nonsense, and it won't hold up in court, but it's designed to do 2 things: intimidate you and drain your resources fighting it. I sat back down, my legs giving out. What do I do? Kenya smiled, a cold, sharp smile that reminded me of Ms. Freeman. We fight back, and Mrs. Caldwell, we're going to win. Your mother didn't just leave you money and evidence, she left you a war chest specifically for this. She anticipated every move he might make. How? Because she talked to his first 2 wives. They told her everything: his patterns, his tactics, his threats. Your mother spent the last 6 months of her life building an ironclad case against him. Every claim he's made, we have evidence to counter. Every lie he's told, we have documentation of the truth. I felt tears running down my face, but I wasn't sad. I was overwhelmed by how much Mama had loved me, how hard she'd worked to protect me even when she was dying. There's one more thing, Kenya said quietly. Your mother also set up a trust fund for you, separate from the company, $2 million in cash, specifically for your personal use. It's untouchable by Gerald or anyone else. She wanted to make sure you'd be okay no matter what happened. $2 million. On top of the company, on top of everything. Why? I asked. Why would he do all this? If he'd just stayed married to me, eventually he would have gotten something anyway. Greed, Kenya said simply. And impatience. He's 58 years old. He didn't want to wait another 20 or 30 years for you to pass away naturally. He wanted the money now, while he's still young enough to enjoy it. That's why he filed the day after the funeral. He thought you'd be too grief-stricken to think clearly, too devastated to fight back. He was wrong. Yes, he was. Kenya sat back down. Now here's what happens next. We're going to file a response to his divorce petition that includes evidence of adultery, fraud, and theft. We're going to countersue for the $30,000 he stole, plus damages. We're going to get a restraining order preventing him from coming near you or your property. And we're going to make sure every single frivolous lawsuit he filed gets dismissed with prejudice. How long will this take? With the evidence we have? Fast. Maybe 3 to 6 months for the divorce to be final. The other stuff will get thrown out even quicker. Mrs. Caldwell, I've been practicing family law for 20 years. This is the most open and shut case I've ever seen. He's going to lose everything, including the money he stole from you. I wiped my eyes and sat up straighter. Good. Let's do it. Kenya grinned. That's what I like to hear. Now, one more thing. I know Pastor Jenkins asked you to come by the church today. He called me this morning. Whatever he has to tell you, I think you should hear it. Your mother trusted him, and so do I. After I left Kenya's office, I sat in my car for a long time. Gerald had targeted me, married me as part of a plan, waited 32 years for my mama to die so he could take her money. I wasn't heartbroken. I was furious. I drove to Sweet Hope Baptist Church. It looked the same as always. Red brick, white steeple, the sign out front that said, God's love never fails. I'd been coming here since I was 5 years old. This was home. Pastor Jenkins was waiting for me in his office. He was 73 now, had been our pastor for 40 years. He'd baptized me, married me, and buried Mama. When I walked in, he stood up and hugged me tight. Bernie, baby. Come sit down. His office was cozy, bookcases full of Bibles and theology texts, photos of church members on the walls, a worn leather couch that had heard 1,000 confessions and prayers. Pastor, Kenya said you have something to tell me. He sighed and sat down heavily. Your mama came to see me about 8 months ago. She was already sick, but she was sharp as ever. She told me she'd discovered something about Gerald, and she needed my help. What kind of help? She asked me to keep an eye on him, watch what he did at church, who he talked to. Bernie, your mama suspected he was stealing from the church. My blood ran cold. Stealing from the church? Pastor Jenkins nodded grimly. We've had money go missing from the collection. Small amounts at first, $50 here, $100 there. But over the past 2 years, we're missing almost $15,000. Your mama thought it was Gerald because he volunteered to count the offerings sometimes. Oh my God. We didn't have proof, so I couldn't accuse him. But your mama, she set up a hidden camera in the counting room, got it on tape. Gerald was skimming money off the top every single time he volunteered. I couldn't speak. Stealing from the church. From our church. From the people who'd loved us and supported us. I have the tape, Pastor Jenkins said. Your mama wanted you to have it. She said you'd know when to use it. Bernie, that man didn't just steal from you. He stole from God's house, from widows and working people giving what little they had. I thought about Mrs. Eloise, who was 89 and gave $20 every Sunday even though she lived on Social Security. About the Morrison family with 4 kids who still tithed faithfully. About all the good people at this church who trusted Gerald because he was my husband. "I want to press charges," I said. "Are you sure? It'll be public. Everyone will know." "Good. Let them know exactly who he is." Pastor Jenkins smiled sadly. "Your mama would be proud of you. She said you'd find your strength when you needed it. Bernie, there's something else. The church wants to support you. We know you're dealing with a lot. Sister Wanda has been organizing meals. The women's ministry wants to help however they can. You're not alone in this." Tears filled my eyes again. "I don't deserve this. I married him. I brought him into our church." "Hush now." Pastor Jenkins's voice was firm. "You didn't know. He fooled a lot of people. That's what con artists do. They're good at pretending. But now we know the truth, and we're going to stand with you. That's what family does." "Thank you, Pastor." "There's one more thing your mama wanted me to tell you." He pulled out an envelope, another letter in Mama's handwriting. "She wrote this a week before she passed. Said to give it to you after you found out everything." My hands shook as I opened it. "Bernice, my beautiful daughter, if you're reading this, you know the truth about Gerald now. All of it. I'm sorry you had to learn it this way, but I knew you needed to know who you were really married to. Baby, you are so much stronger than you think you are. You spent your whole life taking care of other people, taking care of me, taking care of him. Now it's time to take care of yourself. I'm leaving you my company not because I want you to work yourself to death like I did, but because I want you to have power. Power to make your own choices. Power to build your own life. Power to never depend on anyone who doesn't deserve you. The board at Vivian's Visions is good people. I trust them. They'll help you learn the business. But remember, you already know more than you think you do. You watched me build this company from nothing. You know the values it was built on: honesty, hard work, and taking care of our people. Be the CEO I know you can be. But more than that, be happy, be free, find joy again. I love you more than words can say. I'm sorry I won't be there to see you thrive, but I know you will. You're a Clark woman, and we don't break. All my love, Mama P.S. Fire Gerald from any volunteer position he still has at church. And Bernie, date again when you're ready. You deserve a good man, a real man, not whatever Gerald pretended to be." I laughed through my tears. Even from beyond the grave, Mama was looking out for me. "She was something special," Pastor Jenkins said softly. "Yeah, she was." We talked for a while longer, about the church's budget, about pressing charges against Gerald, about the funeral and how beautiful it was. Then I drove home, my head spinning with everything I'd learned. I'd been married to a con artist, a thief, a man who'd targeted me specifically because of my mama's money, a man who'd stolen from our church, plotted to have me declared incompetent, and tried to drain every resource I had. But he'd failed, because Mama was smarter than him. Because she'd loved me enough to plan for every possibility. Because she'd raised me to be strong, even when I didn't feel like it. When I got home, there was a car in my driveway I didn't recognize. A nice car, a Mercedes. And standing on my porch was a woman I'd never seen before. She was tall, elegant, wearing a beautiful burgundy suit. She looked about 55, with natural hair styled in a short, sophisticated cut. "Mrs. Caldwell?" she called out as I got out of my car. "I'm Imani Robertson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Vivian's Visions. Do you have a moment to talk?" I walked up to my porch, keys in hand. "How did you know where I live?" "Your mother gave me your address. She said that if anything happened to her, I should come see you right away. May I come in?" Something about her felt trustworthy. Maybe it was the gentle way she spoke, or the fact that Mama had clearly sent her. I opened my door. "Come on in." We sat in my living room, the one Gerald and I had shared for decades, but which was already starting to feel like just mine. I offered her tea, but she shook her head. "Mrs. Caldwell, May I call you Bernice? Please. Bernice, your mother was my mentor. She hired me 20 years ago when I was fresh out of business school. She taught me everything I know about running a company. She was like a mother to me. Imani's eyes were bright with tears. I loved her very much. She never mentioned you. She was private about the business, didn't want to mix work and family too much. But she talked about you all the time. She was so proud of you, Bernice. So proud of the woman you are, the kindness you showed, the strength you had. I felt my throat tighten. I don't feel very strong right now. You're stronger than you know. Imani leaned forward. Bernice, I'm here to help you. The board meeting is scheduled for Monday, 4 days from now. They want to meet you, officially introduce you as the new CEO. But I know this is overwhelming. I'm here to help you prepare. I don't know anything about running a company. You know more than you think. But more importantly, you have a team. We have a great board, excellent department heads, and staff who loved your mother and want to honor her legacy. You don't have to do this alone. Why are you being so nice to me? You don't even know me. Imani smiled. Because your mother asked me to take care of you. And because I've spent the last 20 years watching her build something incredible. I want to see that legacy continue. I want to see you succeed. We talked for 2 hours. Imani explained the company structure, the different departments, the current projects. She showed me financial statements. The company was profitable, healthy, growing. She told me about the board members, the key employees, the company culture. Your mother built this on 3 principles, Imani said. Excellence in service, integrity in business, and taking care of our people. That's it. As long as we stick to those principles, we'll be fine. Imani, can I ask you something? Of course. Did Mama tell you about Gerald? About what he was planning? Imani's face hardened. She told me everything. She told the whole board. We all knew what kind of man he was. And Bernice, we were all ready to protect you if needed. Your mother made sure of that. She thought of everything, didn't she? She loved you. That's what love does. It protects, it plans, it prepares. Imani stood up. I should go, but Bernice, I want you to know something. You can do this. You can be a great CEO, and we're all here to help you. After she left, I sat in my quiet living room and thought about everything that had happened in the last 2 days. Mama's funeral, Gerald's betrayal, the will reading, the lawyer meetings, Pastor Jenkins, and now Imani, representing a whole company full of people who were ready to support me. My phone rang. Kenya Williams. Mrs. Caldwell, I wanted to update you. We filed our response to Gerald's divorce petition this afternoon. We also filed for the restraining order and submitted evidence of the theft to the prosecutor's office. He should be served with papers by tomorrow morning. That fast? I don't waste time. Oh, and Bernice, he's going to be upset. Very upset. If he tries to contact you, do not engage. Call me immediately, and call the police if he shows up at your house. You think he'd come here? I think he's desperate. Desperate people do stupid things. Just be careful, okay? After we hung up, I checked all my locks. Set the alarm system for the first time in months. Gerald had always said it was unnecessary, but now I understood he just didn't want it on so he could come and go freely. I made myself dinner. Just some chicken and rice, nothing fancy. Ate it at my kitchen table alone. It should have been sad. Instead, it felt peaceful. Around 8 p.m., my phone started blowing up. Text after text, all from Gerald's number. You filed charges against me? Are you insane? This is harassment, Bernie. I'm calling my lawyer. You're making a huge mistake. I know things about you, things that could ruin you. Call me back right now. You think you're so smart. You're nothing without me. Nothing. I'm coming over. We need to talk. That last one made my blood run cold. I immediately called Kenya. He's threatening to come to my house. Do not let him in. If he shows up, call 911 immediately. I'm going to have the restraining order expedited. It should be in place by tomorrow morning. I called Wanda next. Can you come over? Gerald's sending threatening texts and I'm scared he might show up. I'm on my way, and girl, I'm bringing my cousin DeMarco. He's 6'4" and plays linebacker. Let Gerald try something. 20 minutes later, Wanda was at my door with her cousin, who was indeed 6'4" and built like a truck. They came in, and Wanda made us all tea while DeMarco checked all my windows and doors. Ms. Bernice, he said in a deep, calm voice, I'm gonna sit on your porch tonight. If your ex-husband shows up, I'll be here. He won't get past me. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Your mama was good to my family when my dad got sick. She gave him a job at her company when nobody else would hire him. We take care of our own. Your family. I started crying again. Seemed like that's all I did these days. But these were different tears. Grateful tears. Overwhelmed by kindness tears. Wanda hugged me tight. Bernie, you got a whole community behind you. Gerald messed with the wrong woman. We sat in my living room drinking tea and talking. Wanda told me about everything I'd missed in the neighborhood while I was taking care of Mama, who had babies, who got divorced, who won the church raffle. Normal stuff. Good stuff. Life stuff. Around 10 p.m. we heard a car pull up. Then another. Then voices. DeMarco looked out the window. Ms. Bernice, there are about 6 cars outside. Bunch of folks from the church. I went to the window and couldn't believe what I saw. Sister Eloise, the Morrisons, the Johnsons, Pastor Jenkins, and at least 20 other church members were outside my house. Some had folding chairs. Some had thermoses of coffee. They were setting up camp. I opened my door and stepped out. What are y'all doing? Pastor Jenkins smiled. We heard Gerald was making threats. Nobody threatens one of our own. We're staying here tonight, making sure you're safe. Sister Eloise, all 89 years of her, was sitting in a folding chair with a blanket on her lap and a baseball bat leaning against her chair. Let him try something. I ain't hit a home run in 40 years, but I still remember how. I laughed and cried at the same time. Y'all don't have to do this. Yes, we do, Brother Morrison said. Your mama was there for us when we needed help. Now we're here for you. That's how this works. I went back inside, completely overwhelmed. An entire community of people giving up their Thursday night sleep to protect me. From my own husband. Wanda squeezed my hand. See? You're not alone, Bernie. You never were. Around midnight, Gerald's car pulled up. I watched from my window as he got out, saw the crowd of people, and froze. Pastor Jenkins and DeMarco walked toward him. I couldn't hear what they said, but I saw Gerald's face go from angry to shocked to afraid. After a few minutes of conversation, he got back in his car and drove away fast. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Shanice. You better watch your back. Gerald might be weak, but I'm not. You're going to regret this. I screenshot the text and sent it to Kenya immediately. She responded within minutes. Perfect. Evidence of harassment. Keep any other messages she sends. This woman is digging her own grave. The night passed slowly. The church members took shifts. Some went home to sleep, others stayed. DeMarco never left my porch. Every hour, someone would knock gently and ask if I was okay, if I needed anything. As the sun started to rise, I made coffee for everyone. Brought out all the pastries I had in my freezer. Mama had loved to bake, and I still had some of her famous sweet rolls. We had an impromptu breakfast on my front lawn as the neighborhood woke up. Y'all are something else, I told them, looking at all these faces, young and old, people I'd known my whole life and people who were new to the church. Thank you. I don't even know how to thank you properly. You just did, Sister Eloise said. Now, when's that board meeting of yours? Monday. Why? Because we're coming with you, Wanda said. Well, not inside the meeting, but we're going to be outside showing support. You're about to become a CEO, girl. That's a big deal. You need your people there. I shook my head, amazed. I don't deserve y'all. Stop saying that, Pastor Jenkins said firmly. Bernie, you've spent your whole life serving other people. You worked at the post office for 30 years. You took care of your mama through her illness. You volunteered at this church every week. You've earned this. Now let us serve you for a change. Friday morning, Kenya called with news. The restraining order is official. Gerald can't come within 500 feet of you, your home, or your workplace. He's been served. Also, the prosecutor's office is very interested in the church theft evidence. They're opening an investigation. And Bernice? His girlfriend Shanice has a warrant out for her arrest in Florida. Identity theft from 2 years ago. We tipped off the police about her current location. She should be picked up today. Everything was happening so fast. Too fast. Like Mama had set up dominoes and they were all falling perfectly into place. There's more, Kenya continued. Gerald's lawyer withdrew from the case. He said he can't ethically represent someone with this much evidence against them. Gerald's going to have trouble finding another attorney willing to take his cases. What does that mean for me? It means we're going to win, and we're going to win fast. Bernice, I think we can have this divorce finalized within 60 days, maybe less. That weekend passed in a blur. Imani came back Saturday to help me prepare for Monday's board meeting. She brought me a folder full of information about each board member, the company's current projects, and a simple speech Mama had written. Apparently, she'd prepared this months ago, knowing I'd need it. Your mother thought of everything, Imani said as we reviewed documents in my dining room. She even picked out an outfit for you to wear to your first board meeting. It's at her house. She what? Come on, let's go get it. We drove to Mama's house, the house I'd grown up in. Walking inside without her there was harder than I expected. Everything was exactly how she'd left it. Her coffee mug in the sink, her reading glasses on the side table, her presence everywhere. In her bedroom closet, there was a garment bag with a note attached. For my CEO daughter. Inside was a stunning navy blue suit, perfectly tailored, elegant, powerful. There were shoes to match, a simple gold necklace, and even a leather briefcase. She had this made for you 2 months ago, Imani said softly. She knew exactly what size you wore. She told the tailor it needed to make you feel like the powerful woman you are. I held the suit and cried for what felt like the 100th time that week. Even in death, Mama was taking care of me, dressing me, preparing me, loving me. Sunday at church was emotional. Pastor Jenkins acknowledged Mama's passing, recognized me, and asked the congregation to pray for me as I took on my new role. During the prayer, people came forward and laid hands on my shoulders, a sea of support, of community, of love. After church, Gerald's cousin approached me in the parking lot. I tensed, but he held up his hands. Ms. Bernice, I just wanted to apologize for my cousin. We're ashamed of him. What he did to you and to this church, that ain't how we raised him. Our family wants you to know we don't support what he did. Thank you for saying that. If there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. And Ms. Bernice, your mama was right about him. I wish we'd seen it sooner. That night, I laid out Mama's suit for the next day, reviewed my notes for the board meeting, read through the speech she'd written for me. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Bernice. It was Gerald, his voice desperate now. Please, we need to talk. I have a restraining order against you. You're not supposed to call me. I know, but please, just listen. I made mistakes. I'm sorry. Can't we work this out? I'll drop everything, the divorce, the lawsuits, all of it. We can go back to how things were. Gerald, you stole from our church. You had an affair for years. You married me as part of a con. There's no going back from that. I love you, Bernie. I know I messed up, but I love you. No, you don't. You never did. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm more than okay. I'm free. You think you can run that company? You worked at the post office, Bernie. You're nobody. You're nothing without me." And there it was. The real Gerald. The cruel Gerald who'd been hiding under that charming smile for 32 years. "You're wrong," I said calmly. "I'm Vivian Clark's daughter. I'm a CEO. I'm somebody who's about to show you exactly what I can do. Goodbye, Gerald. Don't call me again." I hung up and immediately called Kenya to report the violation of the restraining order. "Perfect," she said. "He just made things worse for himself. Again." That night, I barely slept. Not because I was scared, but because I was ready. Ready to step into Mama's office. Ready to lead her company. Ready to show Gerald and everyone else who'd underestimated me exactly who Bernice Caldwell really was. Monday morning, I put on Mama's suit. It fit perfectly. I looked in the mirror and saw her looking back at me. The same determined eyes, the same set to my jaw, the same fire. "Okay, Mama," I whispered. "Let's do this." Wanda and 20 other church members were waiting in their cars when I came outside. They followed me downtown to the Vivian's Visions headquarters, a beautiful building in the business district I'd passed 1,000 times but never been inside. Imani met me in the lobby. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be." We rode the elevator to the top floor. The doors opened to reveal a modern, bright office space. Employees looked up as I passed, and I saw recognition in their eyes. Some smiled, some looked curious. All of them nodded respectfully. Imani led me to a conference room with a stunning view of the city. Inside were 8 people, the board of directors. They stood when I entered. "Everyone," Imani said, "I'd like to introduce Bernice Caldwell, CEO of Vivian's Visions." One by one they came forward to shake my hand, offer condolences about Mama, and welcome me. They were diverse, Black, white, Asian, Latino, men and women, young and old. But they all had one thing in common: respect in their eyes when they looked at me. The board chair, a man named Calvin Hughes, who looked about 60, smiled warmly. "Mrs. Caldwell, your mother spoke of you often. She was confident you'd take this company to new heights. We're honored to work with you." We sat down, and the meeting began. They walked me through current projects, financial reports, strategic plans. It was overwhelming, but I found myself understanding more than I expected. All those years of watching Mama work, listening to her talk about business at the dinner table, it had sunk in. Halfway through the meeting, Imani's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her face going pale. "Excuse me," she said, standing up. "Bernice, can I speak with you privately for a moment?" We stepped into the hallway. Imani's hands were shaking. "What's wrong?" "It's Gerald. He's in the building. Security just called. He somehow got past the front desk and he's demanding to see you. He's yelling, making a scene. The police are on their way, but—" "I'll handle it," I heard myself say. "Where is he?" "Bernice, you have a restraining order. You shouldn't—" "I said I'll handle it." I walked toward the elevator with Imani hurrying behind me. We went down to the lobby where I could hear Gerald before I saw him. "That's my wife. I have a right to see her. This is my company too." He was at the security desk, red-faced and wild-eyed. 2 security guards were trying to restrain him. People were staring. My employees were watching their new CEO's soon-to-be ex-husband lose his mind in their lobby. I walked toward him slowly, calmly, like I owned the place. Because I did. "Gerald!" He spun around. "Bernie, finally! Tell these people to let me in. We need to talk, now." "No, we don't." "Yes, we do!" He tried to push past security, but they held him back. "You can't just take everything. That's not how this works. I'm your husband." Not for much longer. Sirens wailed outside. Police cars pulled up. Gerald's eyes went wide. "You called the cops on me? Bernie, how could you?" You violated a restraining order. You harassed me. You stole from me. You stole from our church. You're a liar, a thief, and a con artist." My voice was steady, strong. "And you're never getting another dime from me or this company." Police officers came through the door. "Gerald Caldwell?" "That's him," one of the security guards said. As the officers approached him, Gerald looked at me with pure hatred. "You're gonna regret this, Bernice. You're gonna wish you'd never messed with me. I'm gonna destroy you." "No," I said quietly. "You already tried that. And you failed." They handcuffed him, read him his rights, started walking him out of the building. He turned back one more time, struggling against the officers. "This isn't over. You hear me? This isn't over." But it was. Deep down, we both knew it was. As they put him in the police car, I realized something. The entire office, maybe 50 employees, was watching from windows and doorways. Watching me stand up to him, watching me stay calm and strong, watching their new CEO prove she was exactly who she needed to be. I turned around and walked back to the elevator. Imani followed, along with Calvin Hughes. "Mrs. Caldwell," Calvin said softly, "I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Don't be. He needed to see that I'm not afraid of him anymore." We rode back up to the conference room. Everyone was standing at the windows, having watched the whole scene. "I apologize for the disruption," I said as I sat down. "Now, where were we?" They sat back down, but I could see new respect in their eyes. I'd just handled my first crisis as CEO, and I'd handled it with strength. The rest of the meeting went smoothly. By the end, they'd approved my transition plan, assigned me a mentor, Calvin, and scheduled weekly check-ins with Imani. As we wrapped up, Calvin said, "Mrs. Caldwell, I want you to know something. Your mother built this company on a foundation of integrity and strength. Today, you proved that you carry those same qualities. We're proud to have you as our leader." After the meeting, I went to Mama's office, my office now. It was exactly as she'd left it. Photos of us together on the walls, her favorite plant in the corner, her nameplate on the desk, Vivian Clark, CEO. Under it was another nameplate, wrapped in tissue paper with a note, "For when you're ready." I unwrapped it. Bernice Caldwell, CEO. I sat in her chair, my chair now, and looked out at the city. Below, I could see the church members who'd come to support me, still waiting outside to celebrate. My community. My people. My phone buzzed. A text from Kenya. "Gerald's been arrested. Violating restraining order, creating a public disturbance, and they're adding charges for the church theft. His girlfriend Shanice was also arrested in Florida. She's being extradited. Bernice, it's all falling apart for them. Your mother's plan worked perfectly." I leaned back in my chair and finally let myself feel everything. The grief of losing Mama, the anger at Gerald's betrayal, the overwhelming gratitude for everyone who'd helped me, the pride of knowing I'd stood up for myself. The hope for what came next. A knock on my door. Imani peeked in. "How are you feeling?" "Honestly, I don't know. Ask me again tomorrow." "Fair enough." She smiled. "Bernice, your mother left one more thing for you. She recorded a video. Said to show it to you after your first board meeting. Want to see it?" My heart clenched. "Yes." Imani set up her laptop, pressed play, and there was Mama, sitting in this very office looking tired but happy. "Hi, baby," she said, and I started crying immediately. "If you're watching this, it means you survived the board meeting. I knew you would. Bernice, I am so proud of you. Not because of this company, but because of who you are. You're kind, strong, faithful, and good. You're everything I could have hoped for in a daughter. I know Gerald showed you who he really is. I know it hurt. But baby, you're better off without him. You always were. Now you're free to build the life you deserve, to find joy again, to be your own woman. Run this company however you want. Change things. Make it yours. I trust you completely. And Bernice? Date again. Fall in love again. But this time, find someone who sees how precious you are. Someone who treats you like the queen you are. You deserve that. I'm sorry I had to leave you, but I'm not really gone. I'm in every decision you make, every policy you implement, every life you touch through this company. We built this together, you and me. Now make it shine. I love you, baby, always and forever. Now get out there and show the world what a Clark woman can do. The video ended. I sat there crying with Imani's hand on my shoulder. She was something special, Imani said softly. Yeah, I whispered. She was. I wiped my eyes and stood up, walked to the window and looked out at my city, my company, my future. Gerald thought he could break me, thought he could take everything. Instead, he'd set me free. And now I was going to show him, show everyone, exactly what Bernice Caldwell could do. But first, I was going to go downstairs and hug every single person from my church who'd come here to support me. Because that's what Clark women do. We take care of our people. And now, I had a whole company of people to take care of. 3 months passed like a dream I couldn't quite believe was real. The divorce was finalized in record time. Gerald tried to fight it, but with all the evidence Kenya had, the affair, the theft, the fraud attempts, the judge wasn't having it. 63 days after he filed those papers in the lawyer's office, I was officially free. Gerald got nothing, not a penny from the company, not half the house, not even the furniture he wanted. The judge ordered him to pay back the $30,000 he stole from our joint account, plus the $15,000 he took from the church. He was also facing criminal charges for the church theft. Shanice was in jail in Florida, waiting for trial on multiple counts of fraud and identity theft. Turns out she'd done this before, found men to help her con wealthy women. Gerald was just her latest partner. Kenya told me Gerald tried to claim he was a victim too, that Shanice had manipulated him. The prosecutor laughed him out of the office. Too much evidence of him doing this before, with his previous wives. As for me, I was learning to be a CEO then. It wasn't easy. There were days I felt like I was drowning in financial reports and strategic plans and personnel decisions. But Imani was there, patient and supportive. Calvin mentored me through tough calls. And the staff, Mama's staff, my staff now, they believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. We landed a major new client in February, a Fortune 500 company that wanted us to handle their entire marketing rebrand. It was a $15 million contract, the biggest in company history. When I presented the proposal to their board, I channeled everything Mama had taught me. Be confident. Know your worth. Never undersell your value. We got the contract. The whole office celebrated. Imani cried happy tears and said Mama would be so proud. The church community stayed close. Wanda came over for dinner every Wednesday. Sister Eloise called me every Sunday after service to check in. The Morrisons' kids started calling me Auntie Bernie. I wasn't just part of the church anymore. I was family. Pastor Jenkins asked me to join the church board. We need your wisdom and your business sense, he said. And Bernie, we need someone who understands what it means to turn pain into purpose. I said yes. In March, the criminal trial against Gerald began. Kenya said I didn't have to go, but I wanted to. Needed to see justice done. The courtroom was packed. People from Sweet Hope Baptist filled the gallery. They wanted to see the man who'd stolen from them face consequences. Gerald's family was there too, looking ashamed. Gerald sat at the defendant's table looking smaller than I remembered. Defeated. His new lawyer, a public defender, since he couldn't afford anyone else, looked exhausted. The prosecutor was a sharp woman named Tasha Williams who laid out the case methodically. The video evidence from the church, the bank records showing deposits that matched the missing amounts, testimony from Pastor Jenkins about the missing money, testimony from me about finding the evidence. Gerald's lawyer tried to argue that the video was unclear, that it could have been anyone. But the jury wasn't buying it. You could see Gerald's face clearly on that tape, see his hands taking money from the collection envelopes, see him pocket cash and skim bills. After 3 days of testimony, the jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Gerald's face went white when they read the verdict. His mother, sitting behind him, started crying. I felt bad for her. She'd raised him better than this. But I didn't feel bad for him. Not anymore. The judge sentenced him to 3 years in prison and ordered him to pay full restitution to the church plus damages. He'd also have to serve probation after his release and perform community service. "Mr. Caldwell," the judge said, her voice hard, "you stole from a house of worship. You violated the trust of good people who welcomed you into their community. You exploited your wife's grief for financial gain. These actions show a pattern of predatory behavior and moral bankruptcy. I hope you use your time in prison to reflect on the harm you've caused and become a better man." As they led him away in handcuffs, Gerald looked back at me one last time. No smirk now, no arrogance, just a broken man facing the consequences of his choices. I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no anger, no sadness, just relief that it was finally over. Outside the courthouse, Pastor Jenkins gathered us all together for a prayer. We thanked God for justice, for protection, for carrying us through the storm. Sister Eloise squeezed my hand and said, "Your mama's smiling down on you, baby. You did good." That night, I went home to my house, legally, officially mine now, with Gerald's name off the deed. I made myself dinner, poured a glass of wine, and sat on my back porch watching the sunset. My phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mrs. Caldwell, this is Phyllis Henderson. Well, Phyllis Mason now. I remarried. I was Gerald's first wife." My heart started racing. "How did you get my number?" "From your lawyer. I hope that's okay. She said you might want to talk to someone who'd been through what you went through." "I'm sorry. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I just wanted to tell you I'm proud of you. I heard about the trial, about you standing up to him. I wish I'd been that strong." "You got away from him. That's strong." "Not like you did." Her voice was warm, kind. "I let him take my money and disappear. You made sure he faced consequences. You protected other people from him. That's courage, Mrs. Caldwell." We talked for an hour. She told me about her experience with Gerald, how he'd charmed her and then shown his true colors after her father died, how she'd given him money just to make him go away, how she'd spent years feeling stupid and ashamed. "But you know what?" she said. "I built a good life after him. Found a real husband who loves me, had kids, started my own business. Gerald was just a chapter in my story, not the whole book. And he's just a chapter in your story, too." After we hung up, I thought about what she said. Gerald was just a chapter. A painful chapter, but not the whole story. I was writing new chapters now, better chapters. In April, the company hit a major milestone, $50 million in annual revenue. We threw a party at the office. Employees gave speeches about what the company meant to them, about Mama's legacy, about looking forward to the future. Calvin stood up and said, "I've worked with this company for 15 years. I watched Vivian build it from a small operation to what it is today, and I've watched Bernice take everything her mother built and make it even better. She's brought fresh ideas, new energy, and the same integrity her mother was known for, to our CEO." Everyone raised their glasses. "To Bernice!" I gave a speech, got through it without crying, which was progress. Talked about Mama's vision, about our commitment to excellence and integrity, about taking care of our people. When I finished, the applause was thunderous. Imani came up to me afterward, her eyes shining. "Your mother would be so proud. I am so proud. I couldn't have done this without you." "Yes, you could have. But I'm glad you didn't have to." That's when I noticed him. A man I'd never seen before, talking to one of our senior consultants. He was tall, distinguished-looking, maybe late 50s or early 60s. He had kind eyes and a warm smile. "Who's that?" I asked Imani. "Oh, that's Lawrence Bennett. He owns Bennett Architecture. They're bidding on designing our new office expansion. Calvin invited him tonight to meet you." She gave me a sly look. "He's single, by the way, widowed 5 years ago. Calvin's been trying to introduce you two for weeks, but you're always too busy. Imani, I'm just saying, your mama told you to date again, remember?" Before I could respond, Calvin was bringing Lawrence over. "Bernice, this is Lawrence Bennett. Lawrence, our CEO, Bernice Caldwell." Lawrence's handshake was firm but gentle. "It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Caldwell. I've heard wonderful things about what you're doing with the company. And I knew your mother. We worked together on a project years ago. She was an extraordinary woman." "Thank you. That means a lot." "I was sorry to hear of her passing. She talked about you often. She was very proud of you." We talked for a few minutes about the office expansion, about his architectural firm, about his vision for the space. He was intelligent, articulate, and genuinely interested in creating something that honored Mama's legacy while pushing the company forward. "Would you like to have dinner sometime?" he asked as the party was winding down. "To discuss the project, of course, but also, if I'm being honest, because I'd like to get to know you better. No pressure, just dinner." I hesitated. Part of me wasn't ready, but I heard Mama's voice in my head. "Date again. Find someone who sees how precious you are." "I'd like that," I heard myself say. "Yes." His smile was genuine, reaching his eyes. "How about Saturday? I know a great restaurant downtown. Quiet, good food. Perfect for conversation." "Saturday works." After he left, Wanda appeared at my elbow. She'd come to the party with her husband. "Did I just see what I think I saw?" "I agreed to dinner. That's all." "That's all?" She grinned. "Girl, that man is fine. And Calvin says he's one of the good ones. Treats his employees right, active in the community, volunteers at the homeless shelter. He's the real deal." "It's just dinner, Wanda." "Mm-hmm. That's how it starts." Saturday came faster than I expected. I was nervous getting ready. Hadn't been on a date in over 30 years. What if I didn't remember how? What if it was awkward? But when Lawrence picked me up, he insisted on coming to my door like a gentleman. My nerves settled. He opened my car door, complimented my dress without being creepy about it, and made easy conversation on the drive to the restaurant. Dinner was nice, really nice. We talked about everything. His late wife, who'd died of cancer. We bonded over being caregivers. His grown children. My journey to becoming CEO. Our shared love of jazz music. Our faith. "Can I tell you something?" he said over dessert. I was terrified to ask you out. Calvin kept pushing me, but I kept thinking, she just got out of a terrible marriage. She's dealing with so much. She doesn't need some old architect bothering her. "I'm glad you asked anyway." "Me too." He reached across the table and gently took my hand. "Bernice, I know you've been through a lot. I'm not trying to rush anything or push for something you're not ready for. But I'd like to see you again, if you're open to it." I looked at his hand holding mine. It felt different from Gerald's touch. Warm, safe, real. I'd like that too. We saw each other twice more that month, then 3 times in May. By June, we were seeing each other every week. Dinners, walks in the park, church together, art museum visits. He met Wanda and got her seal of approval. He met Pastor Jenkins and they hit it off immediately. One Sunday after church, as we were walking to his car, he said, "I need to tell you something." My heart sank. Here it comes. The other shoe dropping. The reveal that he's not who I thought he was. "I'm falling in love with you," he said simply. "I know it hasn't been that long, and I know you might not be ready to hear that. But I believe in being honest. You make me happy, Bernice. You make me want to be better. And I needed you to know." Tears filled my eyes. "Lawrence." "You don't have to say anything back. I just wanted you to know where I stand." "I'm scared," I admitted. "I was married to Gerald for 32 years and I never really knew him. How do I trust this? How do I trust you?" He squeezed my hand. "By taking it one day at a time. By watching what I do, not just what I say. By letting me prove myself. I'm not asking for forever right now, Bernice. I'm just asking for a chance." "You have it," I whispered. "You have a chance." In July, we had our 6-month company review. Revenue was up 30%. Employee satisfaction scores were the highest they'd ever been. We'd won 3 major awards for workplace culture and business ethics. The board gave me a glowing performance review. Calvin said, "Bernice, in 6 months you've taken this company to new heights. You've honored your mother's legacy while making it your own. You're exactly the leader we needed." That night, I went to Mama's grave for the first time since the funeral. I'd been avoiding it, not ready to face the finality of it. But now I had things to tell her. I sat on the grass next to her headstone. Simple, elegant, just like her. Vivian Clark, beloved mother, visionary leader, woman of faith. "Hi, Mama," I said, my voice breaking. "I'm sorry it took me so long to visit. I was scared if I came here it would make it real that you're gone. But you're not really gone, are you? You're in everything I do, every decision I make, every time I stand up for myself or someone else. You're there. The company's doing good. Real good. We're growing, but we're still staying true to your values. Excellence, integrity, taking care of our people. I promise I'll always honor that. Gerald's in prison, 3 years. I know you already know that, wherever you are. I hope you're pleased. I hope you know that your plan worked. You protected me, Mama. Even after you were gone, you protected me. I met someone. His name is Lawrence. I think you'd like him. He's kind and honest, and he treats me good. I'm not rushing anything, but I'm not closing myself off either. You told me to date again. So I am. I'm letting myself be happy. I miss you so much, every day. But I'm okay, Mama. More than okay. I'm free. I'm strong. I'm everything you raised me to be. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for fighting for me even when you were sick. Thank you for believing I could do this when I didn't believe in myself. I love you, Mama. Always and forever." I sat there for a long time, feeling the sun on my face, listening to birds sing, feeling peace. My phone rang. Lawrence. "Hey, beautiful. I'm making dinner tonight. Nothing fancy, just pasta. Want to come over? No pressure if you're not up for it." I smiled. "I'd love that. I'll be there in an hour." "Perfect. See you soon." I stood up, brushed grass off my dress, and touched Mama's headstone one more time. "I'm going to be okay, Mama. You made sure of that." As I walked back to my car, I thought about everything that had happened in the past 8 months. Mama's death, Gerald's betrayal, the divorce, taking over the company, finding my strength, meeting Lawrence. It had been the hardest, most painful, most transformative time of my life. Gerald had filed for divorce the day after Mama's funeral, thinking he'd get millions. Instead, he got prison time and lost everything. I got freedom, power, purpose, love, a future worth living. He'd thought Mama left me money. She'd left me so much more than that. She'd left me the tools to build my own empire. She'd left me a community that had my back. She'd left me proof of my worth. She'd left me wings. And I was flying. 2 months later, the company threw a gala to celebrate our 50th anniversary. Mama had founded it in 1975, and we were honoring her legacy. We held it at the downtown convention center, invited clients, employees, community partners, everyone who'd been part of the journey. I gave a speech about Mama's vision, about overcoming adversity, about building something that lasts. Lawrence sat in the front row, beaming with pride. The whole church community was there, dressed to the nines. Even Phyllis came, Gerald's first wife, and we hugged like old friends. At the end of the night, As people were leaving, Calvin pulled me aside. "Bernice, the board met earlier this week. We want to establish the Vivian Clark Scholarship Fund. Full-ride scholarships for young women pursuing business degrees, specifically women from underserved communities. We want to invest $1 million to start it. What do you think?" I couldn't speak, could only nod as tears ran down my face. "We'll announce it next month. Your mother believed in lifting others as she climbed. It's time we continue that legacy." Lawrence drove me home that night. We sat in my driveway, neither of us wanting the evening to end. "You were amazing tonight," he said. "The way you spoke about your mother, about the company's future. Bernice, you're inspiring." "I'm just doing what she taught me." "No, you're doing more than that. You're becoming your own kind of leader, and it's beautiful to watch." He walked me to my door, kissed my cheek goodnight. We were taking things slow, letting trust build naturally. "Sweet dreams, Bernice." "You too, Lawrence." Inside my house, I kicked off my heels and changed into comfortable clothes. Poured myself some tea and sat on my couch, thinking about the journey. 8 months ago, I'd sat in a lawyer's office watching my husband try to steal my inheritance. I'd felt small, powerless, broken. Now I was a CEO, a leader, a woman who'd taken back her power and used it to build something meaningful. Gerald had underestimated Vivian Clark. And he'd underestimated her daughter. That was his mistake. My phone buzzed with a text from Wanda. "Girl, when are you and Lawrence making it official? We need a wedding to plan." I laughed and texted back. "Slow down. We're taking our time." "You better not wait too long. You're not getting any younger." "Goodbye, Wanda." "Love you too." I looked around my living room, really looked at it. The house was different now. I'd redecorated, got rid of everything that reminded me of Gerald. New furniture, new paint, new energy. It felt like mine now, like home. On my mantel was a photo of Mama and me at my college graduation. She was beaming with pride, her arm around my shoulders. Next to it was my CEO nameplate from the office, and next to that, a new photo, me and Lawrence at the company gala, both of us smiling. Past, present, and future, all coexisting, all part of my story. I thought about what Phyllis had said months ago. "He's just a chapter in your story, not the whole book." She was right. Gerald was just a chapter, a painful one, but it was over now. I was writing new chapters. Chapters about success and community and love and purpose. Chapters about a woman who lost everything and found herself. Chapters about turning betrayal into triumph. And somewhere, I knew Mama was reading every word, proud of every sentence. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Kenya. "Heard the gala was amazing. You've come so far, Bernice. From that scared woman in my office 8 months ago to a confident CEO who's changing lives. Your mother's legacy is in good hands." I smiled and typed back. "Thank you for everything. For fighting for me. For believing in me. For helping me find my strength. You always had it. You just needed someone to help you see it." I set my phone down and closed my eyes. In the quiet of my home, I felt Mama's presence. Not in a spooky way, just a peaceful knowing that she was still with me, still guiding me, still loving me. "I did it, Mama," I whispered into the darkness. I became who you knew I could be. And in the silence, I could almost hear her reply, "I know, baby. I always knew you would." The next morning, I woke up without the weight of grief or anger or fear. Just peace, just purpose, just possibility. I had a company to run, a community to serve, a man who loved me waiting to take me to Sunday brunch, a future stretching out before me, full of opportunities I couldn't even imagine yet. Gerald had tried to destroy me. Instead, he'd set me free. And I was going to spend the rest of my life showing him, showing everyone, that you can't break a Clark woman. We don't break, we rise. We rise. Thank you for staying with us through this journey. Please subscribe for more stories and drop a comment. We read every single one.